Hello again, welcome to day 13 of the Bitchin Bowl challenge. Can you believe it's been 13 days? I can't, but I'll tell you what, there are some amazing results and they're not the ones I thought they would be, and I'm going to disclose them to you momentarily. But first, let's get into the bowl of the day, which is our Meatball Bowl. It's going to be polenta, it's going to be meatballs, it's going to be a big hunk of cheese, which I'm very excited about, and then topped with basically like a bruschetta. It's gonna be like all of your favorite tapas, not tapas, what do you call them? Everything you would order first if you went to a really delicious Italian restaurant. So I'm adding to my skillet chopped onions. I'm gonna put some garlic in there too. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil and put it over the pan. I love using this skillet. It reminds me of early days of dating. We used to go to the driving range, and I've gotten a lot worse at golf, which is strange, but in the early days I could really whack it, and we would have contests where it was like, oh, who can hit it the furthest, and then you had a prize that you could win, and I won a Lodge skillet, and I love my Lodge skillet. Okay, so garlic's going in too, and we're just gonna saute this for a little bit till it's nice and translucent, and then I'm going to make the rest of the meatballs. While the onions are doing their thing and smelling delicious, we're gonna make the rest of this meatball. Now, meatballs are great. I never grew up eating them, and so I've had a lot of fun kind of like tinkering, I guess is the right way of saying it, with how to make the most delicious meatball. And you can go super fancy with this. You can get very rare meats if you wanted to and put them into your meatball. I've tried a lot of different ways, you know. I've been the mom who's just like, this is all I have and this is what's happening. And then sometimes I go to the store, I'm like, ooh, what is that, an elk? And you can make a meatball with elk. Today I'm just gonna make a very standard meatball. I'm gonna show you how I do it. And I'm sure that there's some nonas out there that will be like, no, that is not how you do it. But this is how I do it. So, ground beef. If I can find ground pork, I will do that too. And then I add a ton of Parmesan cheese. Maybe not a ton, but I add some Parmesan cheese. After this, I'm going to put in some panko. I'm going to put in my parsley that I just chopped. I'm going to put in 2 eggs, the onions and garlic that I'm sauteing right now. And then I'm also going to put in a ton of salt, like a whole bunch. Sometimes I'll even put in like bacon, but if you don't have bacon, if you have like smoked salt, I don't know who has smoked salt and not bacon, but sometimes I'll add that. I think I'm just going with regular salt today though. But we're going to do that, and then the next thing that you must add, in my opinion, is some broth. You need like a beef stock or chicken stock, and you add that to get it to actually kind of a, it's just not a very thick consistency. It's like kind of wet, and that's fine. That's great. That actually makes a really delicious meatball. And then I add something else that I'm not gonna tell you about because it's my secret ingredient, and I'm already teasing Luke about how he doesn't know what it is. And if I tell you, you might tell him or he could find it, and so I'm not gonna show you that. Rolling out the meatballs. Do we bake or fry them? Has a more loaded question ever been asked? I don't actually know the answer to that one, but I know what I'm gonna do, which is I'm going to bake them. And I do this because I have better success rate with it. And it's easy. It's a uniform. You pop it in the oven. I guess I kind of par bake most of the time if I'm doing like a nice little spaghetti meatball situation. I'll basically mostly cook them or get them kind of crispy on the outside, and then I'll poach them in the sauce so that they're fully cooked. But anytime I've tried frying, let's just say I haven't mastered it yet. I will master it at one point. I will. All right, and I'm doing kind of, you know, just a perfect size meatball. This isn't always the size that I make, but this is the size I'm making today. And I think it's gonna be great in this bowl. I think if I was, you know, doing a wedding soup, they'd be smaller. If I'm doing a appetizer, they probably would be a little bit bigger, right? But today, this is the, maybe I'll call it like the Trader Joe's size. This is the Trader Joe's size of meatball. And this is what I'm making for this bowl today. Okay, the meatballs are getting all kinds of beautiful in the oven. And now we're going to make the polenta, which is going to start with some broth. It's a 1-to-3 ratio. And I'm just gonna put this on the stove so that it can come to a light boil before I add my polenta grains. A quick tip here that's pretty important is you really need a tall pot and a really long handled spoon because polenta will spark up and bite you. But I don't have a pretty one of those, and so I'm using this kind of squatter version, and I'm hoping that I don't burn myself. But I'm gonna do it anyways because we gotta make the bowl. We gotta make the bowl. While that's getting nice and hot, I'm going to grate some more cheese because I'm gonna smother it in cheese and also talk a little bit about results. So probably the biggest surprise of the bowl challenge has been sleep. Now, when I first told you that I have a Scandinavian sleep system, I sleep really well, I think that was the ramblings of a burned out mother who hasn't slept well in 15 years. But for some reason, since I've been doing this, I've been sleeping really, really well. And I don't know if it's because I'm having more grains than ever before, or if it's because of the bitchin sauce and the great B vitamins. I don't know. But an unexpected surprise. I'm talking about serious sleep, like good sleep. That is why we are focusing on this, which is my most favorite of grains, the polenta. And it's gonna be kind of an indulgent bowl. It's gonna be lots of green and lots of cheese, and I'm very excited. My meatballs are glorious. Bake method for the win. I've just been dicing up some tomatoes here and mincing some garlic. And then I'm going to move on to chiffonading some basil for a very rustic bruschetta topping, but it will bring a good freshness and kick to it. I've also been playing whack-a-mole with the polenta, which is very challenging, but if you don't have a tall pot, it's kind of crazy. So, you know, this is a safety thing. You gotta just make sure that you keep your hand away. If it gets really bubbly, bring down the temperature a little bit. I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese to that, and then it's going to be perfect. And then we're gonna start assembling this bowl. Also, I was a bad narrator. Again, here is the sauce that we're using. It is going to be the Pesto Bitchin Sauce, and I can't wait to see how this livens up this bowl. All right, Pesto and I have history together. This was the third flavor of bitchin sauce that was ever made, and it just made so much sense to me. And then I was immediately thrown off when I found that in my early pregnancy with one of our children, the pesto did not agree with me, and I ended up having to go and find a painting mask in order to actually make the sauce. I think we're over it. I think we're back in good graces with each other. I do love this flavor so much, and I'm really excited to see it on this bowl. I'm gonna assemble. We're starting with the polenta. I love polenta. So good. And then I'm going to put on some meatballs. Oh shoot, no, I did this the wrong way. Okay, before I do that, I'm gonna put on some sauce. We need sauce first, it's very important. We're going sauce first right over the polenta so that it is loaded with flavor. And then we're going meatball. These beautiful meatballs that baked up so nicely in the oven. And then I'm going to add like a whole half of a buffalo mozzarella, because that's what I want. Actually, that looks pretty intense. Well, if I score it a little, maybe it will look a little bit less intense. Okay, I'll put that right there. Yeah. Now it kind of just looks like an egg, and now it's great. Okay, and then I'm going to drizzle that with more sauce. You wouldn't want it to feel left out. And now I'm going to add my bruschetta, which has been sitting and getting beautifully melded together with all of the flavors. This looks very fresh. I was concerned about this one. I didn't know how it was gonna turn out, but I think this is gonna be delicious. Yeah, maybe even a little bit more garnish of basil on top. Polenta, meatballs, pesto, a little bruschetta. Oh, wow. Oh man, those meatballs really turned out perfect, didn't they? Okay. I gotta get some cheese in there too. You know, this works. This is working. And this is one where I'm like, I don't know if I want to share it with everyone yet. Because it feels like summertime in a bowl. Absolutely delicious. Pesto. Shining bright. So thankful for this bowl, for those meatballs, for y'all, and hope you have a great day.